Happy National Science Week. I'm standing here on the land of the Cookada people and I'm excited to welcome you to Arid Recovery. I'm Kath Tuft and I'm the manager here. Arid Recovery is one of Australia's largest predator-proof fenced reserves. We have 80 kilometres of this fencing that protects over 12,000 hectares of arid zone habitats. We've been able to remove all of the feral cats, the foxes and the rabbits from the area, and that's allowed us to reintroduce locally extinct native species. I'm excited to introduce you to our team, but first let me tell you about our animals. First off, everybody's favourite, the greater bilby. We brought bilbies back to Arid Recovery in the year 2000. Apart from being just completely gorgeous and really unusual looking, bilbies are incredible diggers and they turn over huge volumes of soil in their digging of burrows and foraging. And we found that in doing so, bilbies actually change the composition of the soil. They dig carbon and nitrogen into it, and they actually facilitate the growth and regeneration of native plants. But actually, the first animal we reintroduced to Arid Recovery was a rat. A really cool rat, the greater stick nest rat, which is a species that was completely wiped off mainland Australia, and luckily for it and us, it survived on some offshore islands. And in 1998, we brought some of those rats back to the mainland. The second animal that we reintroduced back to Arid Recovery was the burrowing bettong, also known as the boody. These animals are in the kangaroo family, but they're roughly football-sized, kind of football-shaped too actually, and they're the only burrowing macropod. They dig warrens like rabbits, and they're highly social, living in there together and making all sorts of strange noises to communicate to each other, including my personal favourite, the fart noise, which really does sound like a fart. And they're just really goofy and fun. In 2002, we reintroduced the western barred bandicoot, also known as the Shark Bay bandicoot. These are the smallest of the bandicoot species in this country. They have a really beautiful pointed nose. They're very dainty and delicate, and we like to refer to them as bandicoots because they're very, very sweet. These are another ecosystem engineer. Through their digging for grubs and insects, they turn over the soil and facilitate regeneration of native plants. The most recent reintroduction to Arid Recovery has been the western quoll, also known as the chuditch or idnia. These are the top mammalian predator now in the reserve. Quolls are kind of this size and they're covered in spots. And the beautiful thing about quolls is that each individual has a unique constellation of spots on its body. It's like a fingerprint, so you can identify individuals from the patterns of spots on them. The quolls are the subject of lots of research that we're working on with our collaborators at the moment to understand their role here in the ecosystem and how they live now that they're back in the arid zone after 100 years or so of absence. When the Arid Recovery Reserve was designed, it was built in stages, which made it easier to eradicate feral animals from each bit. But that's also given us a lot of experimental power. We can establish controls in some paddocks and treatments in others, which is probably a concept that you will have come across at school. Here we do it on a landscape scale. So for example, one of our paddocks is an experimental control where we do not have western quolls. And then we can compare it to other paddocks that do have western quolls to measure the effect that they have on the ecosystem. We are a small crew, but we do manage to get a lot done with the help of volunteers that come from all over the country, our local Roxby Downs community, our Indigenous partners, and our research collaboration network. This is our principal scientist, Catherine Mosby. She and her husband John Reid founded Arid Recovery, and they've continued to be involved ever since. This is our Conservation Land Management Officer, Nathan Manders.
Hi, I'm Nathan Manders, and basically my role is to look after feral animal control in and around the reserve, monitoring and maintenance of the fence, general infrastructure works, and help out with ecological surveys and monitoring from here to there.
Hi, I'm Millie. I'm the Administration Officer at Arid Recovery Reserve. I work mainly in the office, running payroll and paying the bills. I'm also responsible for the procedure documentation, which keeps everyone safe.
One of the great things about Arid Recovery is that it has served as a training ground for so many people over the years, and in that vein we twice a year take on conservation interns for 3 months each, and it's a great opportunity for people to cut their teeth in conservation and go on and do wonderful things.
Hi, I'm Janina Koch, and this is my colleague Tori Wilson, and we're the conservation interns for 2020 at Arid Recovery. Our internship revolves around developing our conservation field science skills. This includes feral animal control and track surveys.
We also undertake native fauna monitoring and community engagement, and we're responsible for the wildlife tours onto the reserve at the moment too.
This is Ines Badman. She's our community coordinator. She connects us to our local community and everyone all over the world.
So a massive part of my job is science communications, and this is extremely important for us because it means that the more people that know, the more work we can actually do.
The beautiful thing about Arid Recovery is the rock-solid support we have from our formal partners, the South Australian State Government, BHP, Bush Heritage Australia and the University of Adelaide. It might not look like much, but keeping up a fence like this for over 20 years is hard work, trust me, and having that solid support and funding over all that time has made all the difference. I hope you've enjoyed our story. I know that science at school can seem sort of abstract, it can be hard to see how it might be used, but all of the team here use science every day to save species.